I wanted to give you guys an update. I did a Venus retrograde related video, I think yesterday morning, and there was so many takeaways that I got from that video. Oh, my nose is itchy all of a sudden. Watching it back for myself. It's super early again in the morning. I hate mornings, as you guys know. I'm not really a morning person. I don't hate mornings, but I don't enjoy it. And it's Monday. Oh my God. Last day of July. It's a Monday. And I felt like, I kind of felt like documenting this moment in time. There's been a lot of changes right now. And, maybe because it's Monday, I don't know, maybe because it's Monday, I'm like feeling a little bit, like, how can I say this? I wouldn't want to say emotionally drained, but it's like constant things keep coming up, And I want to talk a little bit about just like life in general, Once again, navigating these retrograde seasons, navigating Venus retrograde. Also, I wanted to wear a pop of color. I'm wearing my Barbie. I decided to keep my Barbie cardigan / sweater that I bought for the Barbie movie. Now the sweater is always going to have like a meaning tied to it because I just love the whole experience I had with getting dressed up for Barbie, and just that whole week really leading up to seeing the film Barbie was just so inspirational for so many reasons. And so now for this video, I just felt like just the way I feel today and all the things I have to face this week, I really, need to be courageous, I really have to be like, and this Venus retrogrades in Leo. So it's a lot of, bold energy like we discussed yesterday morning. But I talked about the retrograde in a different way yesterday. But now today, I think I'm going to talk about it more in a way about, how do you deal with, emotional things that come up, and, how do you still have a grace about yourself, and how do you continue to press towards the mark and, get things done. No one said that the whole Venus retrograde was going to be, sweet sailing. I don't think that that'd be fair to say. But, there is things that will test you, you know what I'm saying? And honestly, in life in general, especially on a Monday morning like today, things super early in the morning, things will test you. And a lot of times you have to know how to navigate, without just, oh, there's my, sorry y'all, I was actually looking for this lip gloss and I couldn't find it. And I just found it. One good thing that's happened so far this morning on a Monday at that. I was looking for this. I was like, I know I have my, I've been doing so much. Oh my God, guys, I've been doing so much. And, let me get some tissue. So, like usual, I always hope that, people can take away something for their own life and, can draw inspiration and, gain something from their own life. And I think that, more of the topic today is just more so about, dealing with cards you've been dealt, the reality of life is that, life is not perfect, nor will it ever be perfect, you know? And I think leading into the Venus retrograde, there was themes of this, you know, deeper epiphany that I had on different levels, you know, not just like 3D wise, but I think emotionally, psychologically, I reached a really beautiful moment in my life where I just realized that, you know, you can't always expect, you know, you can't, basically, I don't want to say you should have your expectations low, because you should never, across the board, have your expectations low. But I think that there is something about it to the effect of when you are not choosing to look at it from a perspective of overly exerting yourself, overly forcing something, to the point where it doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, you do have to go with the flow, and you do have to try your best to work with the energy. And that is definitely something that I've had to do severely, is to like work with the energy and to try to the best of my ability to bring together all the epiphanies and all the enlightenments that I've had, in order to give myself more grace and give myself a brighter perspective. And there's just something about, you know, I was kind of saying this yesterday in a different sense. And I did my Oppenheimer reaction. I found the Barbieheimer experience is finally complete. I saw Oppenheimer, I saw Barbie, and I think from yesterday, the Oppenheimer film really illuminated a lot of Venus retrograde themes. And just the timing of when I saw both films, I think, was perfect, because what the things that the Oppenheimer movie evoked in me and showed about the world is very similar to what I'm going through my life. So I really thought that that's quite funny. Just the morale themes about it, just the different ebbs and flows about it. I think is like perfect timing to like what I'm going through in my life right now, truth be told, honestly. And you know, it's about the cards you're dealt. It's about the story. It's about, with life, it's kind of like, what are you gonna gain, and what is like the end goal. Going back to kind of the theme I was talking about yesterday, where it's now more so, the Venus retrograde energy for me is more so now about like the future. And not the future in regards to the typical things like, oh, if you have kids, you know, you're doing this for your kids, you're doing this for your spouse. Like, no, like, it's about, at least for me, the individual, myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, forgetting about all of that and just focusing on myself and what I would like for myself. And that takes, that makes me be able to put more energy into things that I care about. That helps me put more energy into things that are going to better me, is going to better myself for the long haul. Because if I was to put, you know, let's say the typical theme of the Venus retrograde is relationships. If I was to put relationships over things that I am working on, things that I care about, that's taking away from me. That's taking away from the purpose of why I want to do certain things, you know? Like, it's like taking away from that. It's like distracting. So, you know, there was a lot of like morale themes in Oppenheimer that really just kind of like brought full circle to what I'm experiencing with this retrograde. Like, it's brought so much to light that, you know, it's like really indescribable. It's just, it touches you like on a soul level, you know. And it's just something that I really feel, and I was just really just impressed with. And so I think that on this, you know, on a Monday, I just definitely think that it's just basically about the cards you're dealt, and what do you do with those cards. And if there is some cards that you if there are some cards you can discard in order to clear the path for a better tomorrow, then it has to be done. It's necessary. And this is also something that I'm and with the Venus retrograde energy, I'm learning to incorporate in my life. Is like, how do I, through all these ebbs and flows of things happening, all these epiphanies, all these things that I want to change, all these plans that I'm making for the future, so many things on my mind, on my radar, that I'm like, oh my God, this is a lot right now, and I think that in some degree, if I was much, 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 much weaker. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just, I think it's just so easy to give up, like, it's very easy to, in life, get frustrated, and I really, really sympathize and empathize with people who, have not just lost their life, but are going through a hard time, because, life is ever evolving. People are ever changing, and it's like every day is something new, and if you have a week or you have a month where everything goes perfectly, it is beyond incredible. You know what I'm saying? It's like, wow, I actually am having a good time, like, and that may sound a little bit morbid, but like, yeah, like, life can be very complicated sometimes and very hard, where when you're actually happy, you're like, wow, I'm happy. I'm actually, you know, doing okay. I'm actually safe. Like, that's how life, can beat you up. Life can beat you up so bad that when things are going well, you're like surprised, and that's just a very complicated emotional place to be. That's a very emotionally complicated place to be in. And so it just gets to a point where you have to take the good with the bad, but overall, you have to really try to still move forward, even if you feel like your back is against the wall, or, like, life is unfair and different things. It's about, the strength to continue to carry on. It's about the strength to continue to move forward. So, I wonder what sign is the moon in? Let's see. Let me look it up. For today, the moon is in Capricorn. Oh, I would think it being Cancer. This feels like a very emotional day, but it's actually in Capricorn. The last day of July, the 31st, waxing gibbous, is the moon phase, and the moon is in Capricorn. So I would have thought it was Cancer the way I woke up this morning. But yeah, so it's just been such a moment in time, and I hope that you all are being able to benefit the way that I feel like I've benefited, especially emotionally, giving myself permission to feel the way I feel, whereas I think, like, a little bit before the retrograde, I really didn't give myself permission, to feel certain things I feel, and to question certain things. You know what I'm saying? And it's just been like such a cathartic experience. It's been a time of really just, you know, even crying. Like, I'm not really a crier. I don't really cry a lot. I don't really consider myself an emotional person, but when I do feel emotional, and when I do feel like I need to let myself be, and however that's gonna come up, whether it's crying or it's just like deep breathing, like whatever it is, I just try to allow myself to do that. Whereas I think like previously I really wasn't that kind of person. And yet with the Venus retrograde, I really have felt like it's allowing me to do that. You know, it's allowing me to feel those things. It's allowing me to work through certain emotional depths that maybe I was too afraid to work on before, you know, because when you're so busy and you have so many responsibilities, most of the time you can't let that get to you. You can't let your emotions get to you. So it's been a weird kind of cocktail of allowing those things to come up, but at the same time, you know, redirecting it, channeling it into a different direction. And patience is hard, you know, when you want to make major changes in life and you have to go through different processes and you have to overcome certain things and you have to deal with, you know, not so pleasant people. It is like a lot, you know, and my heart, you know, my heart genuinely goes out to people who have lost their lives or, you know, or are bound in addiction, and they can't seem to see the light, you know. And there's been, you know, I think I saw somebody, I don't know who this person is, but on Twitter, I think they paid for the blue check mark. It's an astrology based account though. It's not like anyway, no tea, no shade. And they were talking about Scorpios, and they were like, Scorpios, we want you to experience the highs as much as you experience the lows. And that like really, really like hit me, because yes, like I think for Scorpios, it's very easy to, especially Scorpio sun like myself, I think it's very easy to feel the lows, you know what I'm saying, and not feel the highs. And when you are feeling happy and when things are going well, you know, it's like you're waiting for something bad to happen. And a lot of people have that kind of complex because of just the way life has treated them, you know. And it's just, you know, and I don't want to sound mean, but it's like even when I think of things like that, and I think about how some people are so privileged, you know, and they still go out early, you know, they still they hurt themselves, quite frankly, to the point where they're no longer alive. Um, and that's always shocking to me, because, you know, if you walk the day in somebody else's shoes, you know, like that means you couldn't handle it. Because, you know, if you got a bunch of privilege and you still are struggling, but yet people out here don't even have half the amount of support, half the amount of money, half the amount of a lot of things, and they still get up every single day with a smile on their face, you know, it's all about perspective. It is all about perspective. You know, some people just can handle it and a lot of people can't. And so, you know, I just, you know, genuinely just have more sympathy and empathy for people who, you know, have had to get out the mud, have had to work really hard, versus people who it's just handed, you know what I'm saying? It's a big difference. It's a big difference in how you see life, for sure. And it's just been such a emotional time, you know. It's been such an emotional time. It's been such a time of such reflection. And even though the retrograde is nowhere near over, I think there's just so many small changes that I've made. There's so many things in hindsight that I would not pay attention to, things that I would not do, that because of this energy I'm now doing. So for that, I'm grateful. You know, I'm trying to stay grateful to what the retrograde can offer me positively versus negatively. I'm really trying, you know, I'm really trying like very hard to, you know, keep my head way above water, you know, full of energy, full of, you know, inspiration and all that jazz. But at the end of the day, you know, I was scrolling on Twitter, and there was actually this picture I could show you guys real quick that somebody posted, and the caption is single life. No, so not single life, simple life. Well, one of the same. Simple life. And that picture really spoke to me, because I'm gonna get emotional. That picture really spoke to me, because at the end of the day, that's the kind of life that I want to give myself when I'm, you know, much older. You know, when I'm an elder, you know, by the grace of God, if I live to like 80 or something, you know, or even past 60, you know, in a quirky kind of way, there's all these things that feel like regular, typical, but then it's like the synchronicity and the way that it comes to me is not typical. Just like how I told you all that I went to see Oppenheimer, you know, and on the surface it's like, oh, you just went to go see Oppenheimer, but no, like the messaging and the way the film made me feel is how I'm feeling, how I've been feeling. So it kind of was like full circle, you know? And it touched me. It really touched me in the way that Mr. Murphy, the guy who played Mr. Oppenheimer, portrayed the character was really like touched me. And I really felt like I could resonate to a lot of things that he went through. I really do. And you know, and in a weird about way, it's like the universe put things in order so I could see that picture, so I could see that film, so I could experience all these emotions that I've not felt in a long time, like years. And seeing that picture, this picture just reminded me of like what I'm working towards, which is one day, you know, I don't know where, probably not where I live now. That's another story for another day, or the state that I live in now. But it just evoked that, the mission, the feeling of what I want to make for myself, regardless of any external factors. Like at the end of the day, when I'm an elder, if I live that, you know, to that age, that's how I want to live, is like in tranquility and peace. You know, I don't like drama, and I don't like people that are bitter. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like, as I get more up in age, and as more life, the more life I live, it's like I am so turned off by difficult people. You know, I'm so turned off by people that are just mean and nasty, you know. And you know, not to put everything on Front Street, but there's just, you know, something about a lot of the current experiences I've had in this country, in this state, like things like that, where I've come across a lot of just nasty people, you know, like no tea, no shade, just nasty people that have bad energy. And so I was saying to somebody, in a conversation recently, I was saying to them, like, I can't, you know, fight in-house personally and then fight the world as well. You know, I can't do both, you know. You can't have to, you know, pull up your bootstraps and go out and fight the world and fight stereotypes and fight off negative people and people that are hateful, and then you have to fight as well when you come home. You know, like, that's not a way to live. And so it's like, the more I get up in age, the more I just despise dysfunction. I despise dysfunction. I despise instability. I despise everything about it. And so the Venus retrograde for me has really cleaned up my vision. You know, it's really cleaned up my vision, and it's honestly, I think, pushing me, whether I want to or not, it's pushing me to remember why I've worked so hard, why I have, worked on myself so much. Like it's really kind of like refreshing my view. And I know that thankfully to seeing that film and then coming across all these different tweets that speak directly to me that I didn't even search for. I was just, scrolling, and just, of course, it's not by, by mistake. It's not by coincidence either. It's divinely ordained because, as you all know, Elon has changed Twitter and the name and everything about it. So the app is very different now, like the Twitter app itself is very different. So the fact that I'm getting ready for bed after watching this incredible film that really touched me, that I really could resonate with on so many different emotional levels, and then it's like I'm being reminded of why I'm still here, why I'm still willing to have faith in people, why I'm still willing to, no matter how many negative experiences I've had with just humans, I still try to find the good in people. I still try to be a respectable person. I still try to forgive, which is very hard because, some people just really don't deserve to be forgiven. Some people are just rotten to the core and don't deserve any grace, don't deserve anything, in my opinion. And yet, you have to exist with people that you may not respect or even like or even appreciate. Like life is just like that, where you have to stand in the face of things that you just don't like, that you just don't think is fair, and you have to still put a smile on your face, and you still have to, get up and go to work. Like it's crazy. It's crazy how much life tests the soul of a person. And I think that that's widely underestimated and widely untalked about, is how tested we are, whether you're married or not, whether you have kids or not, whether you make six figures or not. Like there's so many things about life that are just constantly hammering and testing us on, and there's like really no escape. You know what I'm saying? Like you just have to like grin and bear it. And so, today I definitely woke up, and just different conversations I've had to have just been very emotional. And, sometimes you wish you can go back in time. Sometimes you wish you can go back in time and say, I wish I didn't have that conversation, or I wish that I did what I wanted to do versus what society wanted me to do. There's so many times, there's so many what if, shoulda, coulda, wouldas, but I know that that's not healthy. I know that's not a healthy way to live, and I choose to live my life without regrets. I don't ever want to live my life in an energy of regret. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing that from when I was very young, I've always said to myself, I don't want to have regrets. I want to do the best I can with what I have, and that's it. I can't expect the world of myself, um you know unfairly. I can't put all this pressure on myself and then be surprised that I'm not okay. You know what I'm saying? Like there has to be a balance, you know what I'm saying? And so that's been a huge full circle moment, is just being in this energy of letting things come up and letting things be revealed to you, on a more personal level. And I don't know what experiences that everybody else is having, but this Venus retrograde for me has forced me to be reminded of why you keep living, why you keep working hard. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I think it's very easy for people to get discouraged. I think it's very easy for people to want to give up. And once again, my I feel for people like that, you know what I'm saying, who have felt like life has dealt them a bad hand, you know, and that's a tough pill to swallow, you know what I'm saying? And that's probably the wrong analogy. Well, it's a tough thing to cope with, I should rather say. I don't like that analogy that much. So, yeah, I mean, it's a Monday, so what do I expect? You know, things are going to be like in your face. But at the same time, I just felt like, you know, life has just really been bringing things to me, to my face, that really touched my soul, that I don't think I felt in a really long time. You know, just and it's retrograde. So retrograde re is, you know, it's energy that is redoing, bringing back around, refacing, you know, that's what it's about. So I've been appreciative, you know, and seeing that picture kind of just like reminded me of like what I really want out of life, you know? What I've ever really wanted out of life is just tranquility and, you know, good quality people around me that have a big heart like I do, you know, and want the best for me, and not settling, you know, not settling for people who are secret enemies. And, you know, you know, I am a Scorpio, so it's very hard for, it's not, no, excuse me. I am a Scorpio, so it's very easy for me to see, you know, people who are fake supportive, you know, the people that you feel like are not really supportive, but they want to come across like that, but at the end of the day, they have bad intentions, you know what I'm saying? They have a dirty heart. They don't have a clean heart. They don't really want the best for you. And a lot of people are like that. And that's something that I'm still trying to understand, is like, how can you get up every day and want to be a mean person, you know? Like, I don't care how hard the day is. There's never a day where I get up and it's like I want to hurt people. And it's a mind fuck, you know, when you realize there's people out here that are like that, that just want to hurt people. You know what I'm saying? Want to make people's life difficult. That's just something I will never understand about life, you know? So, yeah, the movie, this painting, um, you know, early, you know, different quotes I saw, just really, really touched me in a way that I feel like I've been needing for a long time, emotionally, to have a clearer view of what's the end goal. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you get to 60, when you get to 80, you know, I mean, I look forward to retirement. You know, I'm gonna be so honest with y'all. Like, some people some people don't really care for getting older. They don't really care. I mean, I love the idea. I think the idea is great, because I know that when you get to that age, a lot of silly things about life begin to melt away, you know, as when you're young, those things are quite repetitive. You know what I'm saying? So I love the idea of getting older, or being an elder. You know, I love it. And I love the idea of getting to a point in life where you can live life the way you want to. You know what I'm saying? If you do everything right from now when you're young, when you get to older age, you can live in a way that is pleasing to you. So, you know, I fantasize about that. I really do. I fantasize about that sweet day when I'm, you know, 60 plus, you know, maybe even 80 plus, and I am, you know, just on a chair, you know, rocking back and forth, having tea, you know, hopefully overlooking a river or a mountain or something nice like that, something very scenic. You know, that's what I'm working towards. I feel like that's like my life. I feel like I'm just working towards a life that is peaceful, you know? I don't even, like, it's crazy because, like, I feel like some people, you know, they don't feel that they've lived life unless they have like a mansion or like a sports car or something like that. And truth be told, with my life, it could not be further from the truth. Like, my life, the picture perfect version of my life does not include any of those things. The perfect picture version of my life includes somewhere that is peaceful amongst nature and kind-hearted people, soft people, and it's just peaceful. Above all else is peaceful, not super chaotic and not overwhelming, just peaceful. And I think that it's been a beautiful reminder of, you know, what life is really about for me. And you know, some people have, you know, taken the retrograde, you know, in different perspectives. Like, some people have, you know, they see the retrograde from, you know, different perspectives. But I think that for me, it's just been a very healing experience, a very beautiful experience, and I'm grateful for that. So I just really wanted to have time to, for me, like, you know, document this moment in time. And no matter what happens to YouTube, you know, I'm gonna download and save my own video so that, you know, one day when I am, you know, old and gray, I can look back on stuff like this and be like, I did it, she did it, you know, she, you know, whether life was fair or not, you know, I lived a full life. And you know, that's really just all I want for myself, is to live a life that I could say I have no regrets. Like, you know, there was no regrets, and I did, you know, I gave everything. I did the best I could. And that's how I continue to live my life. You know, of course, I wish life was a lot easier. No doubt about that. You know, I think that sometimes life is just really cruel. And I think the people in it don't help. The just the yeah, just they don't help. But besides that, I think that I've got a good handle on this thing we call life, and, you know, what it's all about. And it's about finding what makes you happy. You know, I think that living a life that doesn't bring some level of happiness is tragic. You know, I would never want to live a life where I feel like it's just all work, no play, you know, turbulent connections. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't relate to people that live like that. You know, that's just so far from the reality that I would ever want. You know, and a lot of celebrities live like that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of celebrities live very dysfunctionally. They may have a lot of money, and good for them, but they live very dysfunctionally, and nothing is private, nothing is sacred, you know. And that's what's wrong with the world and social media. Is like, a lot of things that I think should be cherished and should be private, it's like, you know, they make a mockery out of it. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I could still post on YouTube, and I could still do things that inspire me and I think help you all. But at the same time, you know, a lot of things in my life that are beautiful, sacred moments, I do not post. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do not put on Instagram. I do not, I don't live like that. I don't post every part of my day and my life, in intimate relationships and things like that. I don't do that, you know what I'm saying? And I don't think I ever will. I think it's just so far from like the person I am. I love privacy, to be frank. I do like privacy, but I also do enjoy sharing lessons. Like, this video, this is kind of a video where, like, you're sharing life lessons and life advice, so it's not really the same. So, you know, I'm talking more of like things that, like, interpersonal relationships, like, you know, not having people that you love on camera, you know, and not showing every little part, like, that I don't get about social media, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, I just think it just reminded me of like how much I just am so much more simple than I realized. I'm the way I think, honestly, is just so simple. And that's the word harmony. I just opened up the comment section on this picture and somebody put serene, beautiful harmony equals perfection. Exactly. Like, that's the kind of life that I want to have, you know, is harmony, harmonious, peaceful, you know. And until I can create a life like that for myself, you know, like every day, day in, day out, you know, I gotta put the work in. I gotta, you know, keep healing. I have to keep learning. But that's the ultimate for me. And I hope that a lot of you out here have been able to, you know, maybe this video will help you think about, you know, what you want, you know, your happy ending to look like. I know I want my happy ending to look like. And truth be told, my happy ending has never really, you know, depended, my happy ending has never been based upon, you know, kids and marriage. You know, like, that's a bonus. You know, if that was supposed to happen for me, or is supposed to happen for me, it will happen, but it's not something that I crave. I love my space. I love my, yeah, I love my space. I love not having to be pressured into anything. You know, I like to be myself. And so, a lot of times when I am single, I get a lot more done. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, listen, when I hit the big 3-0 at some point, I already know what life advice I would give to 20-year-olds, what to do and what not to do. And I think that not focusing on relationships is one of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that taking relationships super serious in your 20s is not something I would advise unless, you know, you're really compatible with a person in your 20s. I think that your 20s is supposed to be for growth. It's supposed to be for learning. It's supposed to be for a time for yourself, opposed to trying to build somebody else up, make somebody else, you know, like you or even love you. I think that that's just so far from like what I see your 20s is for, you know. So yeah, like, there's been themes of that's come up for the Venus retrograde with me. You know, that's also come up as like, how do you, you know, what do you think about that? What do you want to do with that part of, you know, your life? And I can unequivocally say I think that is just a waste of time. I really do. And I wish that I could have given more time to myself versus, you know, long-term relationships. You know what I'm saying? That's just something that I definitely would not want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, ever again. If I had to relive my 20s, from the start, like, I would spend a lot less time, you know, I guess working as hard as I tried to, because at that time in my life, you know, many times in my life, I could have been married very, very young, you know, very, very young. And that was just something I passed up consistently. And they weren't the right people anyway. Whether I was right for them is fine, but I didn't think I didn't think they were right for me. So, you know, but like, you know, the opposite sex, like, that's kind of how they think is, oh, a girl's in her 20s, she must want to have, you know, the white picket fence and 2 kids and a dog. Like, some people do think like that, you know, so I can't really blame them, but that was just not like for me, you know what I'm saying? So it's been really beautiful to accept that, you know, if I want to get married in my 40s, if I do want to have kids, which I'm really not, you know, warmed up to the idea, because I think that being a parent is such a hard job. I think that having a child is such a hard thing to do, and requires so much of yourself that you have to have available to give another child, to give another human being, you know? And I don't feel like I'm in the place right now in my life where I have that to give. I know for a fact that I don't have that to give. I don't have that space in my life to give a child, a baby. Like, I don't have that, you know what I'm saying? I much rather prefer to keep that energy to myself because I have a different life plan. You know, I want to retire earlier than most people, you know, and if you don't have kids, you can retire earlier. Whereas I say if you have, you know, depending upon what your partner would bring in, that the household income or whatever, they say that if you do have kids, you know, you'll retire a lot later in life, which means, you know, you won't get to have your downtime. And, you know, for me personally, I want to retire as early as possible so that I can just breathe and forget about the superficial fake world we live in, you know, and just go somewhere quaint and quiet and just set up shop and just live there, which is like, you know, very opposite from the life that a lot of women want to live, even men want to live, you know. Some people want to chase fame and glitter and all this, and that's actually like not who I am deep down. Like deep down, I'm a very simple person. I like very simple things, and I just like to be happy. I like to be in a state of peace. You know, that's what I crave the most is peace. And when I feel like things in life or people try to take that from me, I get very offended because that is something that is like very high on my list. And so yeah, it's about like living the life that you want to live, not the life that not the life that people want you to live. You know what I'm saying? And like this retrograde has really like helped me accept that, okay, you know, okay, I did that, been there, done that, you know what I'm saying? What do you really want out of life? And like the things I actually really want out of life are not hard to achieve at all. Like really, it's really not that hard to achieve, but you have to have a lot of stability to achieve it, right? If you want to retire early, you have to have a lot of stability to achieve that. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have sadly a bunch of money that's saved up, and you're not putting your money in certain kind of accounts, then you can't retire early. You know, you can't do a lot of things. So sadly, I kind of feel a lot of times, besides YouTube, I feel like in the real world, I'm just working just to not work. Like it's kind of stupid. It's like, well, I don't really want to have kids. You know, I've never really had the desire to have kids. I think it's really hard to have children. And just like raising them, and you know, the what ifs, you know, what if your child, you know, there's just so many things about it that for me is hard to digest. And I think you have to have like a lot of strength, a lot of, you know, not just money, but like you have to have a lot of everything in order to raise a perfect child, you know, a perfect specimen for society. And that's not something that I'm interested in. So I would say more so like the traditional perspective of like what you're supposed to do has never appealed to me. So that's why I laugh when people can say comments that people are jealous of people they don't even know, because it's like, first of all, I don't want that kind of life to begin with. And that's not my life. You know, I don't want that kind of life to begin with. So what would I be jealous about? Like, I don't want that. So, you know, it's not for me. You know, just like certain religions are not for, just like somebody can be a Christian and somebody else can be a Buddhist. Like, we're not all gonna believe the same things or have the same lifestyle, you know, and that should be okay. Not everybody wants to have kids. Not everybody wants to retire late. Not everybody wants to have a mansion. You know what I'm saying? Like, people should be allowed to want what they want without people trying to poo-poo it, you know what I'm saying? So I think in a lot of ways, I've lived my life differently and I've done things differently in my life because that's a future that I want to have, you know. And if, you know, like I said, if a typical things happen to come with that, I'd be surprised, you know what I'm saying? I'd be surprised if there's somebody that's decent enough and emotionally deep enough to for me to respect them, for them to understand me. I'd be shocked if that actually exists. But you know, I just think that it's just like putting things in such a clear, crisp view. And it just reminded me, like, at the end of the day, like, all these characters, you know, when you go out in the world and you see all these people, you have to interact with all these people and all these things, like, it really doesn't matter, you know what I'm saying? Like, really doesn't matter, you know. You're never gonna see half these people again, and you don't even know who they are in real life, you know what I'm saying? It's like, there's so many things about life that's so minuscule and petty and stupid, you know, like, so many things that we have to do in life, I think is just so stupid to just get by, like, very stupid, you know. So that's what I crave. That's what I put on a pedestal, is just overall relaxing at some point in my life when I retire, and be able to enjoy the view and eat well and laugh a lot, and that's it, you know. Bills paid, nothing glittery, nothing too fancy, you know. If it was anything like that, it'd be because at that time I feel like that. But like, overall my life, I just, at the end of the day, at the core, I just want to be around really good people, and just live a very simple, healthy, clear-cut life. I don't think, I mean, me personally, I don't think I'm asking a lot from life, you know. I don't get up in the morning and say, I demand a Lamborghini, I demand $100 million, I demand, you know, like, some people have like these crazy, crazy vendettas, you know what I'm saying? Like, really. And they'll do anything for that kind of life. Whereas with me, I don't have that kind of energy or that kind of goal whatsoever. Like, my goal is just to be at peace, you know, and have no debt, have no debt, have peace, and retire early. That's dream to me. That is like cherry chef kisses. That is the ultimate to me, you know. All the other things, kids finding, you know, so-called true love and all this stuff, like, doesn't even cross my mind, bruh. Like, like, that's why I laugh when people make wrong assumptions about me, because it's like, they really don't understand me. They really don't know my heart. They don't know me. Clearly, you know what I'm saying? Like, their perspective is just completely wrong. But, you know, that's a part of life, you know, is letting people think wrongly about you and smiling on their face and getting on with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just putting up with it, because that's life. You know, what can you do? So anyway, it's been beautiful. It's been a beautiful experience. I'm so freaking happy. I am so freaking happy that I saw Oppenheimer yesterday. That was just like the cherry on top, man, for real. Like, I don't care if it's Monday. Mondays are always shitty, right? Like, Mondays are just Mondays, right? But man, oh man, has this retrograde really put things in perspective for me. And yeah, I don't think I'm asking a lot out of life. I don't think I am, you know. I don't have these like lofty ideas. Like, you know, some people have these crazy ideas about what they need to have to be happy. And it's like, I've already achieved that kind of peak of happiness. I really think I have my life. I have you know, being a child without paying bills is peak, you know what I'm saying? Like, enjoying your childhood, you know, playing in nature, that's peak to me, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's like, how much higher can you go? Besides when you're an elder, you know what I'm saying? The only thing that could to probably beat that is if you're an older person, and all the superficial vain or things that constrain you before you're an elder, you know, really don't impress me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I look forward to it. And I know that may sound shocking to some people, but yeah, I look forward to getting older. I look forward to being that woman that can just be on the rocking chair, you know, rocking back and forth, you know, Don't have to get dressed up for nobody. Don't have to be the ideal body or the ideal beauty. You know what I'm saying? I look forward to not having to live like that and just being Simone, you know? Like, I cannot wait for that day. I cannot wait for that day. And I just genuinely, I feel like I'm just basically working for that moment, you know, which is kind of sick and twisted, but there's really nothing else that I would have to live or work for. You know, there's things I've achieved in my life that, I never thought I could do, especially from different things I've been through. I just didn't think I could do it. And so I've already done all those things, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've already done it, you know? And I think, you know, from the pandemic and things like that, you know, a lot of industries have been exposed, you know? A lot of industries have been exposed to the reality of what they really are, you know? And how there's so much corruption. There's corruption everywhere, but you know, it like the real reality, you know. So you really, I don't really ask for much, you know, out of life in that perspective. Like, yeah, there's things I would appreciate, but it's not something that I feel like I am. You know, if I don't have it, then I'm unhappy. Like, it's not that kind of situation, you know. So I hope that, you know, this video has been able to, I guess, in some way help you all think about, you know, what do you want your happy ending to look like? You know what I'm saying? And if you want your happy ending to, you know, include, you know, marriage and kids and all that, well, you got to get going because, you know, slim pickings out here, man. But if you're like me, and you know, you don't need that to be a happy person. You don't need that to make you who you are. In fact, it's quite different. Then I think you'll be just fine because, you know, being independent and being able to support yourself is like the ultimate. You know, like when you can buy what you want to buy for yourself, you can go where you want to go, you can travel to where you want to travel to. You know, there's really nothing better than that. Like there's not really much you can else you can want, you know, besides that. You know what I'm saying? When you get to a certain point in your life of peace and contentment, it's like the sweetest feeling ever, you know what I'm saying? And once you've hit it, you know, you want to stay in that for as long as you can. And that's kind of just what I've learned. And what I continue to learn is like, what really makes you happy? You have to ask yourself sometimes, like, what actually makes you happy? And what makes you happy? What makes you feel content? What makes you feel alive in this life, at least, is what you have to strive for, you know? And if you want a more simple life, then it's easier to achieve. But if you want to have all these lofty goals and lofty positions and all this stuff, you're never going to be content unless you train yourself to be content. You know, there's could be some people who can do amazing things, can achieve amazing things, but somewhere like in their heart, in their soul, they're unhappy because they have this mentality of it's not enough, it's not enough, and you know that just breeds unhappiness. So people have to find what makes them happy, what makes them feel content. Like, what is a level of living a life or a lifestyle that is good enough for you, you know? And be realistic about it. Don't be unrealistic to the point where, you know, if you don't achieve something or don't get something or don't have something, you know, you're a bitter Nancy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to be that kind of person where life is making you a wretched person. You know what I'm saying? Like, I refuse. So thank you all for spending time with me this morning. It's been a joy. It's been a pleasure. And I think that, you know, I finally, I think I'm just at a place, especially emotionally, and, you know, just goal wise, where a lot of things that I thought I wanted, or things that I yeah, just are not for me. You know what I'm saying? And that's for a plethora of things. And staying true to that, and let me clean my mirror. Staying true to that, and just taking life on the chin, not, beating yourself up and not being too hard on yourself, is where you have to begin. No matter how lofty your goals are, no matter how extreme, your life is, I think it's good to start somewhere, and have a vision for your life. Have a vision of the kind of life you want to lead, what you want to do. Start somewhere. So thank you all for watching. Thumbs up if you appreciated my story time today. Share with your friends that are going through, metamorphosis, life changes. It's a beautiful thing. It's not an easy thing, but it is a beautiful thing. And, working on yourself and being honest with yourself is only gonna improve your life, improve yourself. It's only when we lie to ourselves and we try to live up to things that are not in harmony with us, why we have issues. As long as you're being, you're giving it all you got, you're responsible, you're healthy, there's not really much more out of life that I feel like a person can ask for. Honestly, like, you're healthy, your bills are paid. Like, what more do you want? You know what I'm saying? And if you have these crazy expectations of yourself and you don't get all those things, that's going to negatively impact people. Maybe that's why, so many people are so unhappy, is because they probably have unrealistic expectations. Not that you can't be a dreamer, because I'm a dreamer, not that you can't dream big. It's just that people put unnecessary pressure on themselves to impress other people, to have other people like them. That's what I see a lot, and when you extract, people pleasing and wanting objects and things that, could put you in debt, that's not wisdom. I'm saying? Like, the car that I have now, I was even saying to myself, like, the car that I have now, I'm like, man, when I pay off that car, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm being so honest. Like, I was saying to myself yesterday, like, I'm on the track, I'm paying, I'm always paying my car and all this stuff. And it's like, man, it'd be just a great feeling to drive a car I really, really, appreciate. And it's paid off, I don't need to get any other car in the market. Like, I am so honest. Like, I'm like, bruh, the blood, sweat, and tears I put into this car payment right here, this car right here, I'm good. Like, once that car is paid off, I'd rather put my money, like I said, into my retirement, because retirement is on my mind, okay? And I'd rather put that money into to traveling, man, to going to concerts, to having beautiful vacations. Like, that's a better use of my money than a $2,000 car payment or whatever people are paying out here. Like, that doesn't make me happy. To some people, like, that's what they're living for, is what I'm saying. If you're living to have objects, you're never gonna get there. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know why I felt vain to say that, but, like, you're just never gonna get there. If you get a nice car and then you want an even nicer car and an even nicer car, like, you're always gonna be working. Do you see where I'm going with the conversation? Like, you're always gonna be unsatisfied because there's always gonna be another car on the market that is marketed to be better than the car that you got. There's always there's always going to be something out there that they dangle in our face and put in our face and say to us and claim and say to us it is better. You know what I'm saying? So let's go a little bit deep here before I close the video, because I was supposed to close already. But so it's like, at what point, right? At what point is enough enough? You know what I'm saying? Okay, now you have this one car over here, does this, 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 this. Okay, now they have another car, does this, this. Like, at what point do you say, that's enough now? Like, that's it. Like, that's it. You know, you've got a great car, or you've got a great house. You know, what more? Like, and I don't know if that's the retrograde necessarily, but just through epiphanies I've had through the retrograde, it's like, you know, if you always want the next best thing, you're never going to be satisfied. And you're always going to be having to work to pay for that object. Because why? It's going to naturally cost you more and more and more and more, unless you trade the car or whatever, or you sell your house, for example, and there's a lot of cash, there's a lot of value. You know what I'm saying? It depends upon how you arrange your money. But just that principle alone is like, I see why Americans are so freaking unhappy, because they're never satisfied. They're never satisfied. And through my awakening and my spiritual journey from when I was 21, top of 21 years old, it's brought me to this moment where I understand that completely. You know what I'm saying? Especially for you're chasing material objects, you know, you're never going to be satisfied. I kid you not. You know, the car, the purse, the house, the jacket, whatever it is, you know, like, one moment it's the best thing since sliced bread, and then something new comes out and you drop what you just bought and you want to get this. Like, that kind of mentality is what keeps a lot of Americans in a sick, twisted loop. Now, if you're just buying these things for your own gratification and you can afford it, that's different. But a lot of Americans cannot afford it. So why do they keep doing it, you say? Because they want to keep up with the Joneses, right? They want to be like the next guy. So they make purchases, they make decisions based upon other people's perception, which is the stupidest thing you could do, because they're not living in your house, they're not paying your car, they're not putting gas in your car. You see what I'm saying? Like, they're not even in your shoes. But yet people are doing things for other people. But if you're not doing it for yourself, and you're not even liking it, you're not even enjoying it, then why are you doing it? You know, it's just like these people that, and sadly a lot of times it's immigrant families that, you know, I'm just giving an example where, you know, they're pressured into being a doctor or a nurse or whatever, but like, nothing about them says they should be a doctor or a nurse, but because their parents want to brag that their child a doctor or a nurse, they get in all this debt. They work these dead-end jobs. They're depressed. They work these crazy shifts. You know what I'm saying? Just to have somebody say who's gonna die one day, my child's a doctor or nurse. Like, those are the kind of things I'll never understand. Like, if you want to be that, great. But if you're only being that because somebody else told you to be that, like, something's wrong with that kind of thinking to me. Like, that's just not a way to live, you know. But that's all ego. This is all ego I'm talking about. This is when we operate in our ego and not in our authentic self. So you got to be authentic to yourself. You know, that's a good way to end this video, is with reiterating the importance of being authentic to yourself. You know, you got to, you know, you're in this body, this fleshly body, for one shot, you know, and you got to enjoy it. I can't imagine living a life that you don't enjoy. Like, and if you don't enjoy it right now, then you gotta make a way to enjoy it. You gotta change something, because I just refuse. I just refuse to like live a life that I'm not in love with. Like, I want to work hard and live my life to make me happy, not to make somebody else happy. I want to make sure that I'm happy first, not last. First, not last. Been there, done that, where you're living for approval. And where is that going to get you? What I'm saying? Like, nowhere. But if you're doing things you love, and you're putting your whole self into what you love while you're working hard, and you're satisfied and you're happy, you've won. You've won life. But if you're doing all these things and you're not benefiting, you're not being enriched by it, you're getting scammed. You're scamming yourself out of a great life. Seriously. So anyway, let me not, ramble on anymore, y'all. It's already over an hour. Once again, this has been another video that I love. I love the topics I've discussed with you all. I love what I've said in this video. I love everything about it. I'm so happy that I did it. I know it's not a typical content that I do, but I'm happy that I can, talk about like real life with you all and not just upload videos. I like when I can connect with you all in this way and share what's on my heart. And if there's anything that I've learned that from my perspective that can help somebody else, then why not? I think especially when it comes to finances, like at some point you got to be content, and you got to save, and you got to be serious about the future. And all these people that live on Instagram are living very shallow, and a lot of people are in debt, unnecessary debt, because they're trying to be what they're not, and they're trying to have what they can't have. And if I'm gonna have anything, it's because I can afford it, and Ben can afford it. Like, I'm never gonna be the kind of person where I'm trying to chase something that I can't afford and then have it and then I can't afford it. Like, I don't live like that. I buy things, debit. Like, I buy clothes, debit. I buy, like, debit, cash. Like, I don't do things on credit. I have really good credit, but I don't live for that. I live to have my savings. I live to retire early. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my perspective. Not a common one, I'm sure, but that's my perspective. Like, my perspective is everything I have, I can look at and say, that's paid off. That's paid off. That's paid off, and I have room to wiggle. So another point is, like, if you save a lot of money with your salary or whatever income you have, if you want to take a year off of work, and you can do that, right? That's another thing people are not thinking about. If you work really hard, I hate the word hard, let's use a different word, diligently. Okay, if you work diligently, and you're putting in a lot of work diligently, then it's like, if you wanted to take a whole year off to travel or whatever you want to do, you can do that because you save money. But think about it. If you've never saved any money, and you're always getting the next latest best thing, and you're eating out all your cash flow, then you're not going to have shit. So this is just really something that I had to understand, is like, you don't have to follow any kind of negative financial trends. You can choose to be the odd duck out and think more logically, and set yourself up in a way where when you get to a certain age, you don't have to work. Because a lot of people, sadly, nowadays into their older years, are still having to work because they did not prepare for their elder years. They probably spent a lot of money on things they maybe couldn't afford, you know what I'm saying? And especially if you want to factor in children, if you're going to have children, you better have a big bag on you, because they're going to cost you a lot of money. Whereas with me, I'm like, bruh, I'm not even thinking that way, because I know that I rather put my money for myself. Call it selfish, call it whatever you want. Like, I'd rather have that money for me than I'm now in over my head underwater because I have kids or whatever. Like, you know, like you got to be responsible. Like, it's a lot of work. So, you know, if you don't have to do something, don't do it, you know? If you don't have to do something, don't do it. Don't be pressured into doing things that you don't have to do. Make your life simple. Like, that's just how I live. Like I said, people live differently, you know, but like the way that I see life is keep it simple. You know, I used to have a teacher that would say in my class, keep it simple, stupid, you know? Keep it simple, you know? Keep it simple in a way where um you can manage. You can manage your life. And you know, you can do things that, you know, make your life better, you know what I'm saying? So that's just really just how I see it. And I just definitely think that you know, it's just, that's just kind of just how I see life, you know, is doing things that really work for you and you know, make sense. So, you know, absolutely. I just think it's all about, you know, taking life on the chin, you know, not taking things too seriously, but being pragmatic, being smart about it, you know, living in a way where when you're not as young, you can relax, because, you know, you know, the body is naturally always going to get older. Even if you're super healthy, like, just, it's never going to be the same. The more time goes by, the more your body's going to change. So when you get in your, you know, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, you're not going to have the same body as when you were 30, right? You're not going to have the same body as when you were 30. So why would you want to blow through all your money and treat your body poorly just to end up at 60, you know, on your deathbed, because when you were 30 or when you were 25 or whatever, you didn't do what you were supposed to do, you know? So, I don't know. That's just how I think. Hope you guys liked how I think, and, you know, I have some just have some things to share with you all. And, you know, like I said, I'm kind of like putting this marker in time of like what I'm going through and how I'm thinking right now. And I'm really happy with just the changes I've made. And I hope that you all were able to get something from it. All right, bye guys. Bye.